Hey everyone, it's your boy DeSuzman, and today we're gonna start the first of which hopefully are many review videos. So for the first one, we're gonna do The Last of Us 2. Just a disclaimer for the rest of the video: there is going to be spoilers in this, but hopefully it won't be too bad spoilers. I mean, some of them will be when it comes to story mode, but we'll try and we'll make do. You know, we'll make do. So I want to thank you guys for the support in the first video. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be making videos again. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. I put a lot of effort into this this type of video, so hopefully it pays off. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So The Last of Us 2, I thought was a fantastic game. I know a lot of people had some problems with it. Some of their points were pretty good. I've watched several YouTubers reviewing the game, and so they actually make some pretty good points, and I'll point that out as the video goes on. So I guess the first thing I want to get into is how beautiful the game looks. Like, the game is very nice. They use a hell of a good engine for it. Everything works. You know, the different types of foliage, different types of terrain that you go and visit in is absolutely breathtaking. I absolutely enjoyed my time with it. And it for me, the graphics of it and the types of terrain and environments that they created actually helped the gameplay out, because some of the gameplay it was a little bit repetitive, I guess, but at the same time, since you're going to different terrains and they had different well-crafted maps, it actually wasn't that boring for me. Like, I actually had a genuinely good time for every single encounter we had to do. So yeah, I did enjoy the graphics. I have a couple screenshots here in a little bit of kind of just the environment, just taking it in, just finding something like in-game, and I'm like, you know what, that's beautiful, I'm gonna put that in my library. So I'm not gonna lie, like, the only problem I have with the graphics is they had a very strange grain filter on most of the, like, basically the entire game, and there was no way to turn down the grain, like, ratio. The only thing they had, you can turn on like frame smoothing and stuff like that, which is nice, but the grain was always still there, and you can definitely see it in the screenshots I took. It's a little bit more difficult to see in the video, but the screenshots definitely you can see the grain in it. But overall, I like the colors. Just, I don't know, everything worked with it. It was just such a beautiful game. I put it up there with like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Uncharted 4. All those were, I feel like, big innovations in gaming, especially graphically. So I felt like this one was probably one of the prettiest games I've seen in years. So I guess right now we'll just put in these screenshots here. But yeah, I just want to talk about the normal like engine they use. I'm pretty sure they use some Unreal assets and stuff like that, and it really worked for me. But as you can see here, like, you can see the grain in some of these screenshots is kind of in the horizon there, and that was to me a little bit prevalent throughout the whole thing. The one big problem I had was towards the end of the game, they seemed to be kind of lazy with level design, because at the first, all these are taken from the first part of the game, but then when you get to Santa Barbara later on in the game with Ellie, and you look at the beach, and the beach is beautiful, and then right here in this exact screenshot, you can see the borders in the top right corner, and you could see the borders of the map a lot in Santa Barbara. Like, if you turned around, it was like an overlook or something that the devs are like, oh, they'll never turn around to see that, and then you turn around, you're like, ah, there's the edge of the earth right there, and it kind of, I don't know, it kind of bothered me. It wasn't, I don't know, it just seemed kind of rushed towards the end, but that's really the only big problem I had, like, graphically with it. The next was kind of the gameplay aspect of it. Now, the gameplay was nothing too special, honestly. It reminded me a lot of Days Gone, and it was a lot like the first Last of Us game. Because the first Last of Us had a, you know, kind of a simple crafting menu, and so did this one. But with the first Last of Us, the thing I hated the most about it is it was like L1 to aim, R1 to shoot, and oh my gosh, I seriously missed every single shot in that game. Like, shooting was just abysmal. But in this one, they switch it back to L2 aim, R2 shoot, which is very nice. It helped me out an incredible amount. The biggest problem I had with the gameplay was actually with the human AI, because there was the wolves, the Seraphites, and of course the infected. So the wolves, it's like, it had this weird AI thing where if you be sneaking through the bushes or crawling or whatever, the AI would just always look in your general direction, like they had no idea you were there, yet their heads were like programmed to like auto kind of lock on to your person, which why it was like that, I really don't know. But basically, if you just, you're like, maybe I should run out here right quicker. At like one time I just stood up just for like 5 seconds and they straight up like mapped me from miles away. And it was just super frustrating. Even here with the Rattlers in the video, they locked on you pretty quickly. But now the AI, when they weren't doing stupid stuff like that, they were pretty tough AI. Like they were actually, it's not like they would run straight up to you and try and shoot you. They would take cover. They try to get a good vantage on you, try and kind of be a little stealthy with it. So I don't know. I kind of like the AI. The Seraphites didn't have the same problem. I never found myself having a Seraphite just stare at me no matter where I was in the entire map. Like, they seem pretty kosher. And the Infected, I think, were the big part of the game that I enjoyed. The AI for that did exactly what they were supposed to. They never looked exactly where, if you were crouching or whatever, you'd have to like sneak up on them. And it would highly reward stealth. With all the human enemies, stealth was, it helped, but it was almost easier just to kind of just full out shoot them because they would go down way easier. The Infected had this issue, not really issue, but if you did not stealthily take out most of them and they all came after you, they were hard as heck to kill because they don't go down like one shot like the humans do. They take a nice long time to go down, especially if it's like a clicker, one of those bloaters. Like, dude, you're gonna waste your entire ammo stack on them. So it's better just to do a stealth takedown to start with, save you a huge headache. Now the crafting system was a little bit on the weird side. I don't know. It was a lot like Days Gone. Like, it was, kind of just like a weapon wheel. You just go in the weapon wheel and you craft stuff. Nothing too special. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I mean, they had the same type of weapon wheel from the first Last of Us. It didn't change too much. It didn't translate over well to this game. It was just kind of the same old, same old. But I'm gonna put a screenshot up here. It's kind of like the first, or this Last of Us, like the crafting wheel, and then compared to Days Gone. I did take a lot of comparisons from Days Gone in this game. I felt those vibes. Like, even kind of the gun mechanics were kind of the same. But here's the weapon crafting wheel, whatever you want to say, and this is the Days Gone crafting wheel right here. And as you can see, it's kind of the same thing. You kind of just reach out and craft it. But at the same time, crafting wheels you can only do so much with, because it's been done a lot. So I mean, what really can you do with it? But the guns in the game, I like. In this particular level, you just pick up the silenced assault rifle, and that was awesome. I loved using that, but it was at the end of the game. Most of the weapons were literally just single shot, like pistols or shotguns or a rifle. I mean, it was nothing crazy. So it was kind of lame weapons for the most part. I did like the bow. I did like the bow and the crossbow for Abby. But other than that, the weapons were really nothing too special. I could have definitely done without, or some of them, and replaced them with like different weapons. Like the submachine gun would be fantastic, but obviously they got rid of it. So the stealth, I did like the melee mechanics as well. The melee mechanics were very crisp. I felt really good about like taking out, especially runners, infected runners. Those were like so fun to take down just for melee, doing the dodge mechanic, and it was always like super rewarding whenever you get headshots and stuff like that. I don't know, that part of it to me seemed really nice. Now the collectibles in the game were kind of underwhelming. Like, it was just playing cards for Ellie and coins for Abby, and they were all kind of hard to find. I had to go out of my way to find most of them, but it's, I would not go back in the game just to find those things. I found most of the safes, and the safes were fun because they weren't easy to get open. Like, you have to read some stuff, or you'd actually have to look at the walls or something. In the very beginning of the game, you actually had to like check out like calendars and stuff like that, and that was interesting. As the game progressed, they kind of just threw the code on like a piece of paper. It says, here's the code, just open the safe. And it was a little bit of a lame way to do it later on, but I mean, it worked. It did what it was supposed to. But the game really has no replayability value, I guess. It was fantastic your first time through, but it's kind of done. I mean, if you go back in the game, you're just gonna watch the same story over again. There's no like side quests. I mean, obviously it's linear, but I mean, even linear games have a lot of secrets you can find and whatnot. This one literally just has this 2 types of collectibles, and they're honestly not worth playing the game again. I mean, I know they have New Game Plus, and New Game Plus is really fun, because you have new weapons now, but it's not like you're itching to get New Game Plus for the extra content in the game, because there really is none. So that's the only picky part I had about the gameplay, is mostly just the guns, the human AI, and of course there's really no replayability value. So now moving on to the story. So big disclaimer here, there will be spoilers, a lot of spoilers in this. So in the game, I don't know, you start off as Ellie, right? And it's kind of like, walking through her life. She's getting with Dina, which, alright, let me just start before I even start about the whole story thing. I hate in games where they feel like they have to sexualize every single character and like put a mark on them, I guess. One of my favorite games of all time, Horizon Zero Dawn. And the biggest thing that worked for me is Aloy, she like never identified as either straight or gay or anything like that. She was just like in the game, right? She had her own, like, it was up to interpretation or whatever, but I mean, there was no sexualization in the game at all, which I massively enjoy, because then there's always going to be people angry about it. Like, if they're straight, gay people are going to complain about it. If they're gay, straight people are going to complain about it. And it just keeps going on, and that's like a whole bunch of reasons why people are upset at the game, is because Ellie is a lesbian, which I could care less about. And even with Abby and Owen get together and there's a sex scene, and I could care less about that as well. So it's like, I don't get why they need to do that. In the first Last of Us, Ellie was just a girl, and her and Joel, and the story was great and everything like that. And then the DLC came out and they had to sexualize her. They just threw her being lesbian out there just in the DLC, and then this one they capitalized on it. And I don't get the point of why you need to do that in every single game. It gets old after a while, but it is what it is. I don't have a huge problem with it, but I just have a problem with just sexualizing characters in general, regardless of what you add to them. But so before I start with the actual story, let me say why I didn't like the first Last of Us. A lot of people are complaining about this one as being, it's all about revenge, and then you start off to kill Abby, and then in the end, you end up sparing Abby, so the whole story was basically pointless. But if you look back at the first one was Joel was hired by Fireflies to bring Ellie there so she could basically save the world. And then he became like a father figure, and then he decided, you know what, I'll save Ellie by, taking out all the Fireflies, basically. And I thought that was such like a douche move. Like, I mean, he didn't know her for that long, and it also defeated the purpose of the entire game. And so in this one, like, I really didn't like the first one anyway, so I kind of went into this one a little bit edgy, but, oh my gosh, it was just so good. You start off, learning about Ellie and her friends and everyone, and then later on, you see Abby kill Joel, and that really pissed me off. Like, I was super mad. I couldn't wait to get my hands on Abby and kill her myself, like you do in every single game. And then it did a very interesting thing where you really, it's like a Far Cry type system where you take out the generals and then you get to take out the big bad at the end, and I was really excited about that because I love that type style. And then you start taking out her generals without knowing almost anything about those characters, so you just assume they're bad and they're evil because they're all there and they all took place in killing Joel and whatnot. And then, later on in the game, here comes Abby bursting through the door, and she shot, what's his face? But anyway, he killed him, and basically shot Tommy. So I was a little bit like, you know what? I really want to kill her. And all of a sudden, the story like completely reverse Uno's itself, right? It goes straight into Abby's story, and I was like super mad. I was like running her off cliffs and like getting her killed on purpose because I absolutely hate her. And I'm like, this is gonna make for a miserable rest of the game. And I had that mindset for about the first 10 minutes, right? And then they do that flashback to her father, and then it's revealed that her father was killed by Joel. He was the doctor trying to basically save the world. And instantly I related to her. I'm like, I mean, yeah, if my dad was shot or killed trying to save the entire world, and for just almost no reason whatsoever besides just selfishness, I would want revenge as well. So, and you're kind of going through this whole story, and then they do flashbacks to Abby's friends, and that's where the character development really hit home for me. Like, they developed Abby so well, and even her friends like Owen, Manny, just the whole crew there. Even though I forget her name for the life of me right now, I just had it in my head, but it's gone now. But anyway, she was a doctor, and you do this epic chase scene through the hospital with Ellie, and you end up killing her. But then you realize she's actually a super cool character, and all these people are charismatic, and they just kind of want what's best for their people just to survive. And I related so well to their friend group, and as the game progressed, I really started to hate Ellie. Like, Ellie was just going on and on. She didn't have a clue, what she was going on about. She just know they killed Joel, and she wants to kill them. But that's where this game is so interesting, because they take you and they put you, instead of like always in the shoes of the hero, they put you in the shoes of the villain to learn their side of it, and you realize the villain's really not that different from you the whole time. In fact, towards the end of the game, I was really hoping Abby was actually going to take out Ellie. I mean, that's just where I was. Like, Ellie was becoming such a nuisance. Abby went in and, got the drop on her. Abby went in and she let him live. Like, she let Ellie live, Tommy live, Dina live. She let him go, and then here Ellie again can't let it go, so she goes way out of her way. She leaves her baby and Dina, literally just to get revenge. And they did hit revenge home. That was a topic basically throughout the entire game, but I was okay with it. I really liked how they did it. And then she went all the way down, all the way out of her way to go kill Abby, and then like I said before, she ended up just not killing her, and that was that. But at the same time, they did it in a very good way. Now, a lot of the people that had a problem with the game, they hated the flashbacks, and admittedly the flashbacks were very strangely placed. They would talk about like the whole fight, the bar fight or whatever at the very beginning of the game, and they don't do a flashback explaining that until the very end of the game. And that was, I mean, for me it was alright, because I have a decent memory, so I'm like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. But I mean, for someone that is kind of jumping in here and they're not really paying attention to it, that would be very confusing, and I could see why people would hate that. And some of the other ones, I don't know, this didn't work either, but at the same time, some of the other flashbacks actually came in really handy. So for example, let me see, like the flashbacks with Ellie and Joel, I feel like they should have done that before Joel died. Okay, so therefore you would be way more emotionally attached to Joel as he died, and that would make, everything more interesting. But the flashbacks with Abby, I felt like were perfect, because they happened after you had already killed her friends. So it's like the people you killed, and you're like, oh yeah, I did it. And then you look back and you're like, oh, well, now I just regret doing that. It makes me feel awful, and that it's emotionally involved. And that was just fascinating to me. I love that aspect of it. That was just, I don't know, it was super cool to me. And most of the characters well developed. There were a couple characters here and there that were bad. Some really good ones, like Lev, for example. The whole chemistry and bond that Abby and Lev started to have at the end of the game was just super special. It's like Abby, was kind of like a hardened warrior at the beginning of this. And then you could follow her along the path, and she would just gain her humanity. You could see her gaining like more humanity as she went on, and she was starting to learn, maybe I shouldn't hate every Seraphite I see. And that's why I felt Ellie should have done. I shouldn't hate every wolf I see just because, one of them killed Joel. So it's like, Abby, I could see her humanity gaining over time, and Ellie, I could see her losing her humanity over time. So, in saying that, there were some pretty bad characters in there as well that just, they hyped him up and never did anything with it, like Isaac, the leader of the wolves. I don't know, they hyped him up so much, and he had maybe 2 scenes in the whole game, and I honestly don't understand his role at all. I mean, he was just there, but they did absolutely nothing with him. They basically introduced him as torturing someone, and then the very next scene they're killing him. So it's not like he was a character I was very emotionally involved in. But all the other ones, most of Abby's friends were extremely well developed in flashbacks and just in interactions with them. Everything Abby did was just, to me, amazing. Now the flashbacks, like I said, they could have been done a little bit differently, but you know, hey, it works. So yeah, that's basically the whole game in a nutshell. I absolutely loved it. If I were to give it a score on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a solid 8. There's definitely some things I feel like they definitely could have improved on, but a lot of stuff they hit home and they did very well. They were very innovative. Like there's games that try something very risky, and it could kill the sales and make people hate the game. But if it's super innovative, like I feel like this one was, it could kick off a third game if they wanted to. Because, you know, almost every game is all about the hero. No one wants to hear about the villain. That's why I feel a lot of people are giving this bad reviews. Because, like, oh, well, Joel died. Now I'm just pissed off and I don't want to play the rest of the game. And then he plays Abby, and then that's like the nail in the coffin for everyone. They don't give it a chance. But I feel like this was one of the most innovative games I have played in a very, very long time. So as stories go and cinematics go, this game was absolutely perfect. Gameplay, map creation, you could tell it was getting a little lazy at the end of the game, but you know what, I'll overlook it for now. So yeah, I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. So I guess I'll just leave it there. I'll let you guys decide for yourself. I would strongly recommend playing this game. Don't let bad reviews scare you away from playing a really good game, because you guys are really missing out. I like, heck, when I watch movies and shows and stuff and they get terrible reviews, and I watch it and I'm like, dude, I love this. Like, it's something I really enjoy. So don't believe every single thing you read. I would strongly recommend this to anyone, but I would play it for yourself and then make judgments. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys like this new type of video style, the reviews and everything. I'm putting a lot more effort in this. I'm actually editing and post and everything like that. So just a quick shout out. I'm going to be doing a lot more reviews on games, TV shows, movies. I'm going to be trying to do a lot more of that. And I may sprinkle in some gameplay from some indie games here and there. Well, I'll decide that as I go. I'm not going to make any full-fledged Let's Plays, but I am going to be doing a lot more of this type style of game. But I want to thank everyone so much for their support. If you play the game, or if you have questions or anything, or if you want to roast me in the comments, I mean, go ahead and do that as well. I'm always up. I like discussing with people, like, you know, why they like stuff, why I like stuff. And I don't know, this is fascinating to me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this game. I definitely give it a try. And thanks again for watching. Leave a comment, subscribe, ring that bell, touch that, just tickle that like button just a little bit. Just let your fingers just touch that screen. But anyway, I'll probably be doing another video in a couple weeks. I just got done with The Witcher, and so we'll just have to see where that all goes and where that all pans out. But yeah, so this is the first attempt. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So thank you guys. Have a good one.